So I've got a ton of arcade restoration projects going on in the garage right now. There's well over a dozen at this point, and every week I try to make some kind of progress on at least one of them. But the prioritization of how I decide what and when to work on, there's a ton of factors that go into that. The first is my mood. You know, what do I feel like doing? What do I feel like working on? That's a big thing. Parts availability is a big part of it. No pun intended. You know, am I still looking for parts? Am I waiting for parts to come in? That plays into it. Obviously, the weather is a factor. I don't want to paint when it's way too cold. I'm not going to be sanding down an entire cabinet when it's raining outside, that sort of thing. But I also try to get input from Overtime Arcade channel members. So in the Overtime Arcade private members-only Discord, I'm posting regularly with, you know, behind-the-scenes info of what's going on, and I'm often, you know, letting everybody know, hey, what's ready to be worked on, and trying to solicit their input on what they want to see in an upcoming video. And so recently I posted like, hey, here's a bunch of stuff that I could be working on that's ready for progress. And this time it was unanimous. Everybody wanted me, it seemed, everybody wanted me to work on the Moon Patrol cocktail project. So if you remember this thing, I picked it up really about a year ago, and it was in a bad way. It had been left outside, you know, for months, if not longer, completely exposed to the wind and rain and elements, and it's in really, really rough shape. But you know, it means a lot to me. I really want to get this thing working again. Got it home, and in the pickup video, we kind of took a little bit of a look at what we had in store for us. But in this video, and I haven't touched this thing in a year, legitimately, in this video, we're gonna rip the whole thing apart. We're really gonna disassemble it, really get our hands dirty, again, no pun intended, and figure out what's going on, what are we gonna need to do. I think I've got all the parts that I need, and we're gonna try to see what's working right off the bat, if anything. So if that sounds like fun, why don't we head out to the garage and get started? Let's go!
Overtime!
All right, here it is, the Williams Moon Patrol cocktail project that I've barely even looked at in the past year. And yeah, I'm excited to dig back into this thing and figure out what's going on and what work we have cut out for us. So that's what we're gonna do in this episode. We'll tear it all down, we'll dig inside, and see what we've got going on. Like I mentioned, I've been collecting parts for this. I think I have pretty much everything I need, assuming the stuff I have works, that is. So yeah, let's rip this thing apart, see what's going on, and maybe start rebuilding that power supply and see if we can start testing the board and the harness and all that sort of thing. So to open this bad boy up, and I've shown you a little bit about this before if you saw that old episode, there's a key to turn to unlatch the top. We'll lift it up. I want to be kind of careful because it's missing a bunch of screws back here. And we see we've got our 19-inch monitor, which is great, you know, full-size monitor. And one thing that I've tried to do before that I want to do kind of right off the bat here is try to get these control panels open. So there's a control panel on either side, and to open it up, there are two screws like this, two per side, and it might be kind of difficult for you to get in there and see what's going on. Yeah, we got a lot of wood damage here we're going to have to address. But there is a flathead screw top bolt in here. And the other three are loose. I tried them. I can get them to unscrew. But this one is like rusted solid in there. So I've been thinking about what to try to do to get that thing unstuck. And a couple different options I've been thinking about. You know, people have all kinds of different suggestions and solutions for different, I don't even know what they're called, lubricants, or I think penetrants is the right term. Different liquids that are supposed to penetrate through the rust and sort of get a stuck bolt or screw loose so you can open it up. I did a little bit of research, however, and come to find out, you know, there's all these different options, and I even already tried, to be honest. I tried WD-40 and it really didn't do anything. But you know, people swear by PB Blaster and Liquid Wrench and that sort of thing. But I was doing a bunch of research and I kept seeing people mentioning a 50-50 mix of automatic transmission fluid and acetone seems to work really, really well. And you know, by the ounce, it's super cheap. So that's what I'm going to try. So I got a bottle of automatic transmission fluid, got a can of acetone that I've been using quite a bit lately, and a little tiny, you know, like travel toiletry spray bottle. And I hope this thing doesn't get eaten through. The plastic seems really thin, but I put, you know, 1 part ATF, automatic transmission fluid, 1 part acetone, and it wants to separate, right? So I have to keep shaking it up. But this is what we're going to try in the cabinet. So that's why I have gloves on, if you were curious about that. So we'll come over here and get back over on the tripod next to the cabinet. And I'm going to spray some of this right down in that hole. You know, I'm not sure that even this is going to work, just the way this thing is set up. You know, I was talking with Overtime Arcade channel members, you know, and like Wayne works, I think he works on cars for a living. You know, he was saying, he's like, he doesn't think it's even necessarily going to get down where it needs to go. And I might end up having to split this piece of wood and, you know, rebuild that. But we're going to give it a try. So let me shake this up really good. And we'll spray, you know, a couple of drops into the hole here. Maybe I'll give it an hour or so, try it, maybe spray some more, let it go overnight. And hopefully we can break that, that rusty screw loose. So I don't know, this bottle might be slowly disintegrating. So it's nice and shaken up. It looks almost like pink medicine or something like that. So let me prime this pump by spraying it into the trash can. All right, here we go. Let's spray a few sprays in here. All right, I can see it. I don't know if you can. It's in there. Yeah, you can kind of see the pink in there. So we're going to let that soak in there for an hour or so, and then we'll try it out. But in the meantime, we can continue digging into this cabinet. So there is a door down here. You can see the key sticking out. So there's a single coin slot, and there's 1 and 2 player, or 1 player and 2 player start buttons, but there's a single coin slot. If we unlock this lock, we can open this door and we get access to the coin mech, and there's a coin box right there. So we'll leave this open, and man, all of this wood just feels so soft and so, hopefully I don't have to rebuild this entire cabinet because I really don't want to do that. So we'll come around like this, and we can try to open up the other side here and get a look at what's going on down below. If we come over here, kind of like what was on the Dig Dug that had been converted to Do Run Run, there are these door releases. So we kind of pull them up like this. They don't come out like the Do Run Run, they just sort of come loose, and we should be able to tilt the door down. Is it stuck? Oh, there's a little latch, a little plastic latch. Push that down, and there we go. Let me get this tripod on the ground to get you a ground level view of what's going on here. All right, so here's the mess of everything that's going on. I'm going to pull out these 2 wood blocks. These actually, I think, were originally mounted somewhere like this and held the PCB, the board set in place on that door. So we'll pull that out of the way. Yeah, this is such a mess down here. Let me see, is the monitor looks disconnected. The power lines have been cut. What a mess. Let me, oh gosh, let me see if I can pull the monitor out. That might be, that might be the way to go here. I really honestly have not been inside of this thing. Yeah, I pulled the board for safekeeping, and I also took a close look down at what was going on with the power supply. I was consulting with Williams expert Brad Raydell, a name that should be familiar to many of you, just to get a sense of, you know, what I needed to buy in terms of a replacement original power supply. And I think I've got what I needed thanks to Brad's help. So let me get these 4 bolts out, holding the monitor in place. All right, So now the monitor should be free and clear to be pulled out. And I was just noticing some of these wires going to the player 2 control panel look all chewed up and hacked and spliced together. So I don't know what to make of that. So let me try to reach in here without hurting myself. And just close the door real quick and pull this thing out. Hopefully it's not hung up on anything. Oh, there we go. We'll put this off to the side over here. And we'll just come and take another look at this monitor. So 19-inch standard resolution monitor. This is not the original. If you can see what it says right there, it is a Wells Gardner 19K 7601. So this is definitely not the original monitor. You know, this game came out in '82, and perhaps a cocktail, I'm not sure, would have been manufactured in '82 or '83. Definitely well before when the K7000 came out. And this has a sticker right there that says manufactured February of '88. So definitely not the original, but you know, overall, I think looks okay. You know, messy, but you know, I don't see like any damage or whatever immediately obvious. Let's see, other than obviously the power lines have been cut and the ground wire was cut right there. But all in all, let's see, the silicon caulk is still holding the neck on, so maybe this thing was never really even worked on. Interesting. Okay, let's come back to the cabinet and continue looking at it from above. Definitely looks like a bit of a rat's nest, and I'm afraid I'm afraid that's exactly what we have in store waiting for us in here. You know, I've seen acorns and I've seen all kinds of signs of rodent activity inside of this thing, so buckle up for that. So we'll pull this down, and yeah, let me start dismantling this, and then I can get my vacuum cleaner out, and we can vacuum out the inside of this cabinet. So we've got a switching power supply. My goodness. What is even, I can't remember what's loose in here and what's mounted. There's a whole plate that this transformer sits on. Let me see if I can pull that out without busting anything up. Yeah, okay. We'll yank that out. All right. Like I said, I had previously pulled that out before just to get a better look at what was going on. So why don't we come over and take a look at this. So basically we've got a piece of, come on gimbal, MDF. So a piece of MDF particle board here. And then there's a metal plate on top that should resemble a little bit what you might expect to see in a standard Williams machine. And let's see, this would have had a linear power supply mounted here on these 4 bolts, or whatever posts. And then there's 4 more posts here for the heat sink that was used with this style of cabinet. So we've got a sticker here that's come off. What does that even say? Oh, that's from the CRT. That's from the monitor, maybe the original. I can see a fuse is missing. A fuse, the wiring is taken off of the fuses. So we've got some work here to do to clean this up and get this working again. I'm hoping these parts still work. They just need a deep cleaning. I'm definitely going to keep this original. Whoa. I'm hoping to keep this original metal plate. I'm going to have to do some real rust removal on this. But yeah, so hopefully that's not a loss. But I do think it's the best thing to be would be to replace this piece of wood. Like I said, it's just a rectangle of MDF. I can replace that, and then I can remount everything back on the way it should be, and this will just get rid of any residual moisture, and it'll just clean up the cabinet immensely. Coming over to the workbench over here, So this is the box that I've been keeping my Moon Patrol board set in that came with the cabinet. And this is something I've purchased. So this is a pretty standard Williams, Robotron, Joust era linear power supply with the big, capacitor on it. So this should be very familiar. You've seen this in my Robotron. You've seen this in my Joust, a very similar thing. And here's the heat sink for 2 transistors that go with it. I don't even know if these are the correct transistors. So we'll get this all rebuilt, maybe even in this episode, and test it out. But yeah, these 2 things would be mounted over here on this metal plate. So look at this chewed up power cord with the grounding plug removed. So, but this, this stuff that looks like 3-wire lamp cord is actually original, and I've got a good replacement that I get from Home Depot for that. So we'll be good on that front. But coming back over here, and man, the gimbal's giving me all kinds of trouble today. It's like died on me a couple times, and the battery's not low or anything. It just doesn't like the angles that I'm shooting at, or how the gimbal is mounted right now. So yeah, maybe I did vacuum this out a little bit already, because I'm not seeing a ton of the acorns that I was seeing before. So I'm going to do a little bit more cleanup here. I'm going to try to pull as much of the harness as I can, really completely out of this cabinet. I'm going to kind of leave the power supply plugged in. Oh, that all looks corroded. So we're going to have to rebuild this whole thing. Oh, there's a bunch of, this harness is just hacked to heck. Look at this thing. Is this showing up on camera? I don't even know if this is this the original edge connector? There's all kinds of rust in here. There's just wires pulled out all over the place. Oh my goodness. Well, hopefully I can fix that and won't need to buy a brand new wiring harness. What's this tag in here? Oh, this just covered. This is the power switch that you can reach from underneath. So this was maybe originally fish paper covering that up. Oh, and look at all this. Yeah, so this thing's been hacked up. I'm going to rip the whole harness out just so we can get that on the workbench. We'll take a look at what's going on. There's so much rust in here. Oh my goodness. But yeah, so let me strip this as much as I can, and then we'll be in better shape to essentially take inventory, take stock of what we've got, and see if hopefully we can, salvage this cocktail cabinet, and I don't have to just build an entire new one from scratch. So yeah, let me go and do that, and I'll come back and show you the progress that I've made. Okay, it's actually been about 24 hours. That mixture of automatic transmission fluid and acetone really didn't do the trick. I gave a couple applications and tried it a couple times last night with nothing doing at all. And it did sort of essentially eat the plastic of the bottle. The bottle was sort of turning almost into a plastic bag. So I ended up throwing it out, and that mixture kind of dribbled onto this control panel overlay a bit, which is like an acrylic sort of thing, and looks like it scarred the plastic a little bit. I might be able to buff that out with Novus or something, and fortunately you'll never really see it because it's kind of covered up by the top lid, but that's a little disappointing. So I'm not going to be able to get that removed. Let me kind of show you what we're dealing with. So these bolts are preposterously long, okay? Preposterously long. And see how rusty they are at the bottom? And so they go, and I took the other 3 out already. They go into these sort of slots, and now I'm going to have trouble getting it out. Just grab my needle nose pliers real quick. All right, so yeah, they're rusted down here, so there's no way that that fluid was going to sort of flow all the way down to where the bolt actually engages. It is somewhat exposed underneath, and I did spray a little bit of WD-40 up from underneath. That's why there's a piece of paper towel down there. I've actually got the coin door off. And that didn't help either, and I even took out my damaged screw extractor set, and that didn't help at all either. So we're basically going to be doing a destructive removal to get this thing out. But we can start with the player 2 side over here. And I've started to kind of take apart the, remove the harness and everything in here. Like I said, I got the coin door off. And the coin door connects to the main harness via a Molex connector. But unfortunately, the controls do not. The controls run, you can see one of them over here. Whoops, bumped the camera. And one of them is right here. They kind of go straight into holes that go to the control panels. And there's no Molex connector to remove. So I've got the 2 bolts off of here on the player 2 side. And we can just lift this off now. And oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Can you see this? Yep, definite rodent activity. There's all kinds of, I don't know, this is like bedding that a mouse must have had. So let me grab my, I almost want my giant shop vac to suck this up. So hang on, let me do that real quick. So yeah, I don't know if you saw my little mini shop vac couldn't do the trick, so I had to bust out the big one, and even that was struggling. There's like feathers over here, and it's crazy. But I didn't see it at first, but fortunately, and it's a good thing I got my gloves on, there is actually a Molex that I can disconnect here. So that's good. And this is now being held on by a grounding strap that I should be able to disconnect right here. Come on. Come on. There we go. So there's our player 2 control panel fully removed now without having to be destroyed. And sorry if the camera's kind of sideways or whatnot, but yeah, all kinds of rust in there. And I don't know what the deal is with the leaf switches are essentially fused or destroyed. So we got some work to do here for sure. So I'm going to spend a bit more time cleaning this out thoroughly. And yeah, it is really, really disgusting. It's like caked in. So a lot of cleaning up to do there. And now for the other side, I'm assuming it's a similar rat's nest literally in here, but you can see how loose it is, and I'm basically just going to rip it off, right? So we'll probably have to rebuild this wooden piece, which it doesn't look too bad to reproduce. So here we go. We're going to hear some cracking, and hopefully it's just that wooden piece there and not the top acrylic. So that's what I'm kind of trying to be safe with and not damage this and just sort of rip that apart. Looking at it, let me see how it's attached. I bet you it's just glued or something. Yeah, I'm not sure. So let me try to pry this thing off. And I've been using my chainsaw wrench to do a lot of this. So let's see what we can do. Some of this wood is already soft and destroyed, but looking in here, I can see some, but not nearly as much as the other side. So yeah, like I said, trying to do this without damaging the acrylic top piece here. Maybe what I should do is kind of split this wood. I think that's what one of my channel members, Wayne, was suggesting. I don't know, maybe I just use this chainsaw wrench as the splitting element. Let me try this too. All right, I also got this bear claw thing. I think it's made by a company called Vaughn. Maybe, I don't know, it says made in Japan. That's kind of interesting. So yeah, I'm gonna try splitting this wood just so I don't risk damaging anything else. All right, I think we're loose now. Here we go. So yeah, I split that piece of wood. And man, it ran all the way down. It ran all the way down. Okay, but that's kind of what we were looking for there. So let's disconnect the ground on this side, which is apparently connected with a a wire nut, and we'll dig through this disgusting nest and disconnect the Molex. All right, man, I guess there was about as much of a rat's nest over here, so looks like we got some insulation and I don't know what. And this joystick is actually maybe in a little bit better shape, but we'll be addressing all of this, and here we go. We can see we've got an inspection date here. This says inspected August 23rd, 1982, which is kind of interesting. Let me see if there's one on the other side. Okay, yeah, okay. This one also says inspected August 23rd, 1982. But if I show you the coin door, which I've got over here. All right. So this is like actually upside down. So this is the top and this is the bottom. So this says tested, inspected, and then it's handwritten June 23rd, 1982. So I'm not sure what to make of that. If the coin door was manufactured a lot earlier or whatever. But so yeah, what I'm going to do, I'm going to continue to clean this up. I'm going to remove the harness entirely, probably pull the speakers. There's actually two speakers. I have a feeling one of them blew and was replaced with one that's not correct. I mean, I didn't even think this was stereo. I don't think it's stereo. I think it's just two mono speakers. Yeah, let me get this cleaned up really well. I'll pull the harness out, and then we'll be in better shape to kind of assess the damage that we're going to need to repair. All right, I've got this Moon Patrol cocktail pretty much disassembled, and here's what we're looking at. So cabinets right here, I've got pretty much everything stripped out for the most part. I'd say 95% of it is stripped out, and the doors are inside there, and the top is just hanging out on top. Yeah, so all of the wood surfaces I'm going to have to kind of sand down and repaint. I'm going to try to save as much as I can the sort of structural wood of the cabinet, but I have decided that I'm going to replace all of the laminate sort of veneer. Some of it's kind of chipped up, it's really kind of faded, and yeah, I just, that's really something that I should do. A lot of the nuts and bolts and screws were kind of rusted in place, and as I removed them, I kind of broke the heads off. So some of those old, nuts and screws are kind of stuck in the cabinet. Some of them are stuck in T-nuts that are going to have to be replaced. And a lot of the T-nuts are kind of hanging out behind the laminate, like right here for the hinge of the cabinet. So I'm going to have to rip that laminate off to access and replace those T-nuts anyway. So yeah, I'll go ahead and replace the laminate, and I'll repair as much of the wood as possible with wood hardener and wood glue and Bondo, and get that sort of squared away before we put the laminate back on. So that'll be okay. I'm not really looking forward to routing out the holes for kind of the sad face on the side of this cabinet, but I've already been looking at laminate samples and I ordered a bunch. So yeah, the glass is in decent shape. I am going to have to get printed replacement instruction cards, which shouldn't be a big deal. This is kind of the really thin, brittle plastic. I guess you would call this a bezel that kind of blacks out the underside of the glass, other than the opening for the monitor. This, it really kind of, really brittle and kind of fell apart. So I don't know if I can, sort of tape this back together. Maybe I'm going to have to replace it with some sort of similar blackout material. But that's pretty much it for the cabinet. I'm not too worried about this, other than maybe cutting those kind of, narrow slits for the laminate. That's really the only thing that think will be super challenging with the woodworking part itself. Coming over here and looking at the transformer assembly, again, I'm going to cut a whole new piece of wood, and I'll have to strip a bunch of rust off the metal plate here. And all of the other parts here are here, but some of them have been cut. So I'm going to have to repair a lot of this. But again, I'm going to strip the transformer and the line filter and fuse block and everything, strip all of that off, get them cleaned up pretty well, and transplant them onto a new wooden base. But that really shouldn't be too bad. There's the coin box from the cabinet. Coming over here are the rest of the parts from this Moon Patrol cocktail. So here are all the major metal parts, the hinges and brackets and that sort of thing. A lot of these have quite a bit of rust on them that I'm going to have to pull off. This is a metal tray that kind of goes underneath the coin box. That's rusted pretty well. And here are all the super rusty, nuts and bolts and screws and washers and everything. I'll probably, I don't know, maybe I'll throw these in the tumbler. Maybe I'll just buy replacement nuts and bolts and screws. I don't know. There are, in fact, 2 speakers in this cabinet. I think this is original, and there's actually 2 speaker connections on the harness, so I think that's legit. This, I believe, is an original 8-ohm speaker. And this, I think, is a replacement. The wiring's kind of been cut and spliced in, and this is a larger 4-ohm speaker. So I'll try to find another one of the same sort of size and rating to replace. Here is the crazy rusted bolt that I just wasn't able to remove with the any of the penetrants, the automatic transmission fluid and acetone mixture, or WD-40. Again, these bolts are so long and they grip down here, so there really wasn't going to be a way for the penetrant to sort of wick all the way down, was that 3 or 4 inches to get to where it needed to do its work. And you can see just sort of how far gone this rust was. So I ended up using some bolt cutters and cut. I broke the wood really to get this sort of free, and then I still had to cut the bolt to get it out of there. And here's the old T-nut, so I'll be replacing that and repairing all of the wood that I damaged. We'll come over here and look at that real quick. So here's the back of the coin door. It's a single coin mech coin door like you've seen. This needs to be fully disassembled, and there's a lot of rusty bits in here, so we'll clean up and restore all of that. Here are the 2 control panels, and this one is the one with the wood that I had to damage, if you can see that there. So we'll get that replaced, fixed, probably with a new piece of wood, sort of cut to match what it was originally. And here is our lovely harness. So this is the original harness, but it has been hacked up quite a bit. So I've got quite a lot of work here that I'm going to have to do to repair this harness and get it back to a working state. This is the power section of the harness. So this plugs into the transformer assembly that I just showed you. We've got an interlock switch for the panel sort of door that opens to access the PCB. We've got a main cabinet switch here that's super rusty itself. These wires, I believe, are for the monitor power, but at least it's all here. We've got some work to do to clean that up, and a lot more work over here with the main harness. So They hacked up the wiring to work with a switcher, so I'm going to have to undo all of this and replace connectors and that sort of thing and figure out how it will plug back into a Williams, I think it's an 8784 power supply PCB. So even though this is it's a Williams game, but it was developed by IREM, so the board set is very, very different than a traditional Williams, like a Defender or a Robotron or a Joust. So it's not based on that Williams hardware, it's its own hardware. But it does use a Williams power supply PCB. So I'll be restoring the one that I got for this project. We'll get rid of the switcher and we'll have to fix up the wiring to work with that. I think it just uses +5, -5. Or no, it doesn't. I don't think it uses -5 volts. Just +5 and 12 volts. So we'll get that all sorted out, what's going on there. And again, everything is here, right? So power wiring right there. This goes to the coin door. This connector goes to the player 2 control panel. Here is the hacked up, but it's there, the video connector. You can see down here how it's all been spliced in, but it's there. Here is one of the speaker wires. Here is the player 1 control panel connector. Here is the other speaker wire. And let's see, yeah, and we've got this edge connector. This is the only thing that plugs into the board stack, or the PCB board set. And you can see, there's wires that have been pulled out, tons of splicing here. So I think what I want to do is repin this edge connector housing. So essentially, you've seen me do this with like my Miz Pack, was that over a year ago now. I'll cut every single one of these wires. I will crimp on a new pin, right? And then I will replace it in the same edge connector housing because this piece of plastic is not damaged or anything. So we'll do that. We'll verify all the wiring. So that'll be a very sort of very, minutia detail sort of task. And I love that kind of thing. It's not necessarily the best thing to film and turn into a video, but I'll get this harness, completely refurbished, back into working order, and it'll be great to stick that back into the cabinet. So the last thing that I want to do, I was originally hoping to rebuild the power supply PCB and maybe even test the game board itself. But given the shape that this harness is in, we're not going to be able to do that tonight. So the last thing that I want to do before wrapping up this video is testing this monitor, this 19-inch K7000, and seeing if we can't get an image on this screen. So let me get set up with my isolation transformer compact power supply thing and my test pattern generator, and we'll give this monitor a try. Okay, here's our Wells Gardner 19K7601 monitor, the one that came in this very waterlogged Moon Patrol cocktail. Again, this is not the original monitor. This is a later model that was, replaced at some point in the cabinet's lifetime. We've got everything wired up here. I've got my TPG test pattern generator from CraftyMech plugged in. I've got my compact portable isolation transformer power supply plugged up. The connectors on this monitor have been cut, so I've got some alligator clips running the AC power into the monitor. So we should be ready to cross our fingers, fire this thing up, and hopefully sparks don't fly, but we get some sort of image on that monitor. So let me go and turn on the TPG. All right, TPG is powered up, and we can go ahead and turn on the compact portable isolation transformer power supply. 3, 2, 1. All right, I hear HV. Okay, do we get anything on this monitor? Wow! Okay, all right, let me change the refresh rate real quick. My goodness, not only is this working, that's a really nice picture. Goodness gracious. Let me put you on the tripod here real quick. I had my adjustment tools ready. This is a great looking image. Wow, the geometry looks good. Yeah, okay. We can adjust kind of the centering, but wow, let's step through these patterns. The whites look good. I mean, we have some burn here. We knew that from before. Look at that. Wow. That is a great looking image. I am really, really happy with this. You know, this right here, you know, a great working K7000 is worth $200, and I think that's what I paid for this cabinet. Wow. You know, the seller told me, you know, you remember the whole story. You know, it was really a tragic thing. The seller's father passed away, and he had this collection, and you know, had been left outside, exposed to the elements for months, and you know, most of the cabinets were a total loss. I think, you know, one of the saving graces of this Moon Patrol cocktail was the top kind of protected most of the internals. But you know, he had said that he thought this was one of the ones that was working before his father, you know, had to abandon them due to his health troubles that you know, eventually took his life. But I don't think this game was going to be in working shape because, you know, the wiring's all chewed up and things were disconnected and a mess. But maybe at least the monitor was working. So yeah, I guess perhaps this was, you know, a monitor that he had you know, repaired and got back into working order and was going to work on the rest of this cabinet. But you know, again, $200 for a working K7000 is not too shabby. So, you know, little, you know, maybe some minor adjustments, but this thing is like, you know, 98% of the way there. So, boy, I am happy about that. So, anyway, ending on a positive note, I was worried that this monitor wasn't going to work at all, and I would make a joke about, well, nothing works in this cabinet. But yeah, isn't that cool? So anyway, I think I'll wrap it up here. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. Thanks for watching. Click that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. I don't know if you're watching me in the reflection right now. I do new videos like this basically every Sunday. I keep saying I do shorts in between. I really need to get better about doing that. I've got a bunch in the hopper I need to just finish editing and release. We've got the Coin Jam podcast coming up later this month in February. We've got lots of stuff going on. If you like this video, hit that like button. It really helps me out. It really helps tell YouTube to share this video with people like you who also might enjoy it. So hitting that like button, you know, it takes a fraction of a second, and it seems so trivial, but it really truly does help out, help spread the channel. You know, if you remember playing Moon Patrol, give me a comment down below. I'm looking forward to revisiting this game. It's been a while since I've played it, so if you've got any memories of playing Moon Patrol back in the day, or even today in a barcade, or maybe you've got a Moon Patrol of your own. If you've ever seen a Moon Patrol cocktail before, you know, one that looks perhaps in a little bit better shape than this one currently, if you're able to scan that instruction sheet artwork for me, I'd really appreciate it. Yeah, if you really like what I'm doing and really want to support the channel, click that join button down below to learn more about what it means to become an Overtime Arcade channel member. Basically, you throw $1.99 a month my way to help support the channel. In exchange, you get access to some awesome perks, like a monthly members only live stream, which is coming up probably this week. I mean, we're running out of time in February. You get early access to all new videos. So Overtime Arcade channel members got to watch this video on Saturday instead of Sunday, like the you know, when the public release was. And you get access to our private members only Discord, where we've got a great group of folks. I think we're well over 50 now. You know, chatting about what we're working on. I share behind the scenes stuff. We talk about deals that we see. We're often tipping each other off on awesome listings that we're seeing for games and parts for sale. So anyway, it's a great way to support the channel. I think it's a lot of fun. People seem to be really enjoying it. So yeah, click on that join button down below if you want to learn more about that. So anyway, I think I'll leave it here. As always, you've been watching Overtime Arcade. I'm Charlie, and I'll see you next time.
Overtime!